The Addiction Podcast, Point of No Return.
Hello, I'm Joni Siegel, the host of the Addiction Podcast. In 2022, over 100,000 people died from drug and alcohol abuse, and that number is growing daily. Fentanyl poisoning, pot, cocaine, heroin, and even psychedelics and alcohol all contribute to this crisis, while we're bombarded with promotions from thousands of rehabs. Newborns are born addicted, and the majority of homeless people struggle with drug addiction. Drug dealers exploit online resources to sell to teens, and antidepressant use is spiraling out of control. This podcast features brutally honest guest interviews revealing harsh realities and offering hope and solutions through their stories. We don't sugarcoat anything. Guests speak raw and real. More importantly, you'll find inspiration to understand, overcome, and achieve recovery, whether for yourself or to help others, some within your own family, many among your friends or associates. Whether you're seeking help or just a glimmer of hope, our podcast equips you with the latest insights to confront this generational battle. Many listeners tell us they want to join the fight, but do not have the time or money to act, lobby, or just help. If that's you, go to www.patreon.com/theaddictionpodcast and see how you can help. Denise Barnes, start off by telling us what happened with Cameron.
Right. Well, we woke up on February 9th, and we had a missed call on our phone, and we went to check the phone and just had a recording saying it was investigators. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what's that? Call back, and my daughter's like, Mom, I'll call that number for you. She's like, it's the morgue.
Hi, my name is Amy Newman, and my husband Bobby and I have a business called Newman Intervention Services. We provide intervention services for families who have loved ones struggling with drug addiction. Our goal is to help individuals get the support and treatment they need to overcome addiction and start on the path to recovery. With our personalized and compassionate approach, we guide families through the challenging process of getting their loved one into rehab and onto a road of a healthier future. Together, we can make a positive difference in the lives of those affected by drugs. If you or someone you know is in need of an intervention, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Let's work together and bring hope and healing to those battling addiction.
Call 866-989-4499 today and say the word podcast to get a 10% discount. Or go to newmaninterventions.com and type in the word podcast for a 10% discount. This service comes with a free 1-hour consultation with Bobby. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So,
It's okay. Oh my God.
Yeah. And so, we made the calls. My husband, I was a mess. He made the call, and they said they said it was Cameron, and that they needed to identify him. And honestly, that day our whole world just like tore apart. But we come to find out that the person that came when Cameron was already gone, the detective said that the person that he was with gave him a Xanax and gave him Narcan because he wasn't breathing, and they all went back to bed. Now, my son's only been gone for 2 months, and this person he met a couple weeks ago, I remember him saying, "Hey, Mom, I want you to meet this person." And my son was 23. This person was 18. And I'm like, she's too young. She's just too young. And I never ended up meeting, I never ended up meeting her. But the detective said it was kind of fishy, like what was going on, what her answers were and stuff. But to find out, we just got 9 months later, honestly, towards the end of October, we actually got a toxicology report because we were waiting for that. And what my son took was a Xanax that was laced with fentanyl. That story you hear all the time. Regardless how he passed, I had a feeling it was something like that. I had a feeling I was fentanyl because you hear about it. It's just you're inundated in the news about that.
Yep.
So anyhow, just try not to. I'm trying not to think. I was trying not to think about everything all at once because it was hitting me too hard.
I understand. I'm going to ask you a question because I know I read your bio and I know that one of the major things that contributed to what happened with Cameron was the fact that, okay, yes, Narcan was administered, but nobody called 911. How did you even find out that might have possibly saved his life?
Well, just talking to the detectives, talking to a good friend of ours who is a fireman paramedic and several other fireman friends that we do know, and researching it, but just mainly just from them telling me that you're supposed to call 911. Narcan is temporary. You have to call 911 because it only lasts 30 minutes, up to 90. So basically it starts the heart, but it doesn't keep it beating because you need to have breathing treatment, which no one tells you that. I never even knew that. They just are distributing Narcan, and that's it.
I had no idea. I mean, we've talked about Narcan pretty much since the podcast began and how, now more and more EMT personnel have it and cops even carry it in their cars. But yeah, I thought it was an end all. I thought if you did Narcan, boom, you've saved the person's life and it's a done deal.
Me as well. And everyone probably in the United States, unless you are in that field, we actually know that you need to go to the hospital.
Or unless you've lost a child like you have. And I'm so unbelievably sorry. I'm a mother. Yeah.
Yeah. Besides the pain being I can't describe it because there's not a word that's made the dictionary that can describe it, how you feel every day. But right off the bat, before we even knew what he passed away from, just that we knew probably within a couple of weeks that no one called 911. She called 911 after they went to sleep. You can't go to sleep with taking that. Clearly, she was either negligent or just uneducated and uninformed like everybody else. I don't really know, but there's not a lot of factors that play into this, like where someone's has an an opioid in your system. Narcan just does just the minimal, just to get you from point A to point B. The second thing that I think is really important, I'd love your viewers to know that this is another thing that's not being told in the media.
You are listening to the Addiction Podcast, Point of No Return. For more information on the podcast or to reach out if you have a story you would like to share with us, go to our Facebook page by the same name, or you can email us at theaddictionpodcast@yahoo.com or go to our website, theaddictionpodcast.com. And please remember to subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts and give us a 5-star review. We appreciate you listening to the Addiction Podcast, Point of No Return. We don't do this podcast because we are former addicts. We don't do this podcast because we have loved ones who have suffered from addiction. We do this podcast because we feel that addiction is one of the biggest problems facing the world today, and that no matter who you are, no matter your religion, no matter your income status, no matter your race, no matter anything about you, addiction affects you. This podcast is a free resource for anybody looking for help with addiction. If you would like to contribute to our podcast, go to www.patreon.com/theaddictionpodcast and make a donation of whatever amount you would like. Thank you for supporting us.
that Narcan, yes, you need to call 911, but the paramedics, they don't arrest you. The firemen don't arrest you. No, but you don't get arrested. So the fear is also that, like, oh my goodness, someone passed away, someone's deceased. Okay, I'm not calling 911, just give the Narcan, because we know we might get in trouble too, because probably everybody die.
And I bet that was a big reason for it. I would just bet that was a big reason, like, oh my God, we're going to get in trouble. We've been using drugs. Let's just, we did the Narcan, we did what we need to do, and we're not going to tell anybody. Big mistake.
He would be alive today, honestly.
Yeah.
If they would have called 911 before Narcan was even distributed to the public. Like you said, they do have it on them, police and the firemen and stuff, in case there's an overdose call. But it's a false sense of security, honestly. And the information is not out there. The education is not out there. So right away I thought, I'm going to go because I was like, I'm going to the media. Oh my gosh. People that are at parties and they're seeing someone pass away and they just think, oh, Narcan's fine, one and done. I'm like, oh no, it's not. But I had to wait till the investigation was over. So right now I'm just like, I'm so thankful for you. First of all, everyone that helps me get the word out, because drugs are not going to stop coming into. No. They're all over. But the important thing is that you have to call 911 if you have Narcan. If there wasn't even Narcan and they just had it on them, like I said earlier, they would have to call 911 unless you want to see someone passed away.
Right.
And it's your friend or someone that you know. So that's this, like, I don't want any more. Honestly, I don't want any more mothers to feel this pain that I'm feeling.
That's why we do this. That's why we do it. I can't handle it.
No, and I think it could be someone at a party, like let's say a college party. It could be just a house party, anything. Someone you see they're like, oh my gosh, that guy's not breathing, she's not breathing. And they're like, we got Narcan. Be that bystander. Be that person that's right there and calls 911 after you administer it.
Yep.
Because I'm telling you, it's life saving. Narcan alone does not work. It just starts it, but it doesn't keep it going. But no one knows that either. That's right. And I really want everyone, like, when they're listening, the grandma, the mother, the aunt, the uncle, cousin, they tell everybody. So if there's one person that's watching this, they have 50 friends at least. Yep. Tell everybody. Yep. So they don't feel what I'm going through.
Denise, have you found other mothers that have lost children similar that would have been saved if they'd called 911?
No, I haven't.
Interesting.
I haven't.
Interesting. I wonder if there are a lot more that maybe don't know that that's what happened.
Well, it's funny you ask that, because I'm thinking, why am I the only one? I know there's more people that.
Yes, I agree.
Just in San Diego alone, I'm thinking, why are they not out there? Well, I was told by the crisis coach, Scott Silverman, he said, because they are a mess. It's just really hard for them. Every day is by the grace of God, I'm getting through it, but it's very challenging to say the least. But it's important for me to, yes, he's gone. Yes, he's in heaven. I will see him again. But right now, what can I do? Yeah. Like, what can I do? Because I can't stand by and go, well, okay, I got all this information and I'm not going to help anybody. So my goal is to help anybody who's around someone, wherever they're at, with an opioid overdose.
It's huge what you found with Cameron, that, as I said, Narcan is not the be-all, end-all of someone who's overdosing. It's a temporary fix. You have to call 911. It's amazing that people don't know that. It's amazing we've never heard that before on the podcast. Like I say, we've heard over and over again, Narcan, naloxone, that you need to use it, but have not heard this type of story, which is so unbelievably tragic.
It really is. And I don't know about excuse me, I'm sorry.
It's totally okay.
I don't know what you have in your city, but we'll have this huge thing on the news about, fentanyl crisis. Fentanyl is coming over from the border. It's like you can watch it anytime you want on the podcast, on YouTube, on the news. And they do show a little section where it says Narcan, like, they understand that they're not informing anybody how it's supposed to be properly used, it goes along with 911. Nothing. It's so crazy. Like, they're not even thinking about it. Like, yeah, it's a crisis. I get it. But the crisis you're putting out there in the public is for people to be aware it's deadly, right?
Yep.
So why not combine that information? Or why isn't, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's like, someone, I mean, as we're talking, there's someone that's not making it.
Exactly. Do you know, was Cameron, had he used drugs before? Do you have any idea?
Well, Cameron moved out when he was 18. So
Okay.
I knew that he was vaping and smoking marijuana. I knew that. And drinking, but not so much drinking, probably when he came back off and on for the last 6 years, that I knew that he was drinking. But I wasn't aware of Cameron having any addictions. But I know that he was out there partying. I know that. But.
And he didn't die of an overdose. He died of poisoning.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. Yeah, it is crazy. That's what we hear from parents who've lost kids to fentanyl. They're dying from poisoning. You don't have to be an addict to die from fentanyl poisoning. And anyway.
That's another thing. They talk about fentanyl. Yes, you can get it at, at the pharmacy if you need to have that medication there's different reasons why you take fentanyl. But when they're making it counterfeit, it's just poison. It's pure poison, adding to a substance that's not real, because that's whatever they're giving. It could be, and I guess marijuana now. It's not marijuana, of course, I'm sure it's real, but any other opioid that they're adding it to, that opioid is counterfeit, they're using that for a high, but it's really not fentanyl that's really coming and regulated and processed the correct way for patients.
Right. Right.
So,
yep. It's poisoning. So how are you getting the word out, Denise, besides talking to me today?
Well, there was during the time that Cameron was out, it was a few months before, I saw Scott Silverman on the news, and I'm like, crisis coach. I'm like, I really want him home. I don't know where he's at. He calls me once in a while. And I called him up. And after my son passed, it was like probably a whole year went by when my son passed. So he got him home. He goes, just get him home. He was here for 6 months, moved out 2 months later. And then we got the call. But I contacted him. I said, Scott, I just want to let you know that my son passed. And I found all the information about Narcan and 911. It's like, I'm going to help you. So he's the first guy that cared enough to help me get the word out. And I also have Kelly Mason that's helping me go through the podcast and, reach tons and tons of people to help to get the word out as well. So that's basically it. But we are in works with Kelly and Scott I want to get it in the schools.
Yep.
I want to get in the schools. It starts when they're children, not so much as an adult. So I'm supposed to get partnered up with an ex-DEA agent and go to schools. So that's my next step. And whoever wants to invite me on, just so I can spread. It's like, word of mouth. It's life-saving advice, life-saving knowledge.
Well, and I would also suggest, and I don't have the names right to hand, but I will give them to you via email after we're done. We've had other mothers on whose kids have died from fentanyl poisoning. So there are huge organizations that are educating about fentanyl poisoning. And what you're doing goes hand in hand with the whole education on fentanyl poisoning, which is the education about what do you do if someone's just been poisoned with fentanyl, who got a Xanax off of Snapchat or TikTok and had no idea there was fentanyl in there. What do you do? So, we know that these organizations are, going to Washington, D.C. and talking, and I or Steve will give you some contact information for those groups because, like I say, what you're doing goes hand in glove with what they're doing, which is education.
That would be awesome. That
We'll do
would
that.
be, I mean, honestly, that would be like incredible because you are going to make sure that something's going to change. There's going to be something, I mean, it has to be some type of change. And it cannot be fentanyl. It could have been just let's say someone had overdose of drugs. They're going to think they're going to get arrested. Don't call 911, or I'll give them the Narcan. And come to find out, one spray of Narcan does not work. It doesn't. It doesn't take the poison out. It doesn't take the opioid out of your system. It takes 3 doses. Those boxes are $50 a piece. No one's going to have $150, or they're not even aware that it's going to take that much. So it's such a false sense of security.
Yeah.
But go all the way up to, oh my goodness, that far I would be like, hey, I won the lottery. I'm really helping masses.
Yep. We will connect you up because this is an education point. We also have a gentleman that we've had on the podcast that goes into school and educates kids just on drugs. And he's focusing a lot on vaping and collecting vape machines from kids. But we'll connect you up with people that we think can help you because I don't want another mother to go through what you're going through. Not when it could have been fixed, It's
preventable.
Yeah.
Sad part, it's preventable.
Yeah.
It just takes one person. I believe by doing this, and you're allowing me to do this, it's going to save someone because someone's going to.
Yep.
On their child, their cousin, somebody knows someone, and so that would be an answer to prayer because I can't bring him back here, but possibly bring someone else's child like back out of that state and get the help they need, or if it was an accident or if it was an addiction, just something, because it's something good coming out of something bad.
Yep.
Right. So tragic to triumph over something.
Yep.
Something, it's not being.
You're doing the right thing, Denise, and we will help you as much as we can. And, if people wanted to reach you, maybe to have you come and talk at a school or parent organization, you don't have a website, right?
I actually do. Not a website, but guess what we created?
What?
Because my Narcan, I'm going to send it to you. NARCAN+911. It starts the heart beating, but it doesn't. Gosh, I'm going to mess this up.
Is it like the plus sign or PLUS?
It's plus. So my niece was helping me. She's very creative, and this is like what she does, PR, and so I think that helped me. But letting people know NARCAN+911, and it's on my Instagram to where I can hear like stories. And my Instagram is Denise B at Heritage. Oh no, Denise B at Heritage. I think that's what it is. No, wait, Denise B .heritage at gmail.com. I apologize.
That's your email, but what is your Instagram? Do you know?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Now people are going to email you.
I'm so sorry. I'm a little nervous. Let's see. I'm looking at my Instagram now. I thought that's what it was. Oh, Denise Barnes. That's my last name.
Okay.
37.
Okay.
Denise Barnes 37. I apologize. So when you click at the Narcan is actually on that as well.
So I'm a little confused. What is the NARCAN+911? Because I did try and Google that and it didn't come up.
Okay.
Is that part of your Instagram profile? Is it?
Yes. So
okay.
If you go on Denise Barnes, there's like a little arrow and I click down. So it's my other page, I guess, what you call it.
Okay.
At it right now. I want to post everything, every time I go to the school, every podcast, literature, anything. So people go there.
Okay.
They don't know me, so I don't know. Someone said, do an Instagram when it's all about that. The information, just inundate everything with that. Just 911, NARCAN 911.
Good. Good. I like it.
Really?
I'll make sure it's in the show notes for this podcast.
I would love to. I don't know. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
It's so basically just saying it starts the heart, but 911 keeps it beating.
Understood.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, how can I do this? I need to do this. How do I put it together? So so when I go out and I'm talking, I mean, I could just have that logo out there.
Yep.
And just, it's to the point. They go hand in hand. They're married together pretty much.
Yeah.
One doesn't work without the other.
Yep. Exactly.
You're taking Narcan, it's still in their system and they're the ones that are deceased. That's the sad thing.
Yeah.
No one hears about that. That's another thing. So
yeah,
with everyone's help, and I'm just going to change the whole thing around to where you have no excuse why you're not going to call. You're not going to get arrested.
Yeah.
And you're going to call so they can go to the hospital. It's
huge. Denise, thanks for talking to us today. Once again, I'm super sorry about Cameron. I know this is the first Thanksgiving without him, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is. And he loves turkey, so I'm going to have turkey.
Understood.
I have to have his favorite meal, so we're all going to do that. And it's just 4 of us. So his sister, Melissa, and his older brother, Brian, husband. So, we're just like, hey, it's still going to come.
Yep.
And,
upward from here.
Just think about him, all day.
Yep. Absolutely. I understand.
But thank you.
Thank you for talking to us. Thank you for listening today. If you're still here, I hope you have a fabulous Thanksgiving. If you know someone who is in the throes of addiction, please get them into treatment now. Don't wait until after Christmas. It's not going to be a good Christmas if they're actively using. And if you yourself are actively using, get yourself into treatment. Give your loved ones the best present you could ever give them, the present of you being clean and sober. We'll be back again with another interview next week.
You have been listening to the Addiction Podcast, Point of No Return. For more information, reach out to us on Facebook or go to www.theaddictionpodcast.com. Our email is theaddictionpodcast@yahoo.com.